introducing Tim Herbel. Herbel. Let's go. Give him a big round of applause.
Stick around for those pounds, but I do that to pass the torch and put on for my town. Trust me.
Well, good afternoon. Anybody need some caffeine yet? Well, guys, again, my name is Tim Herbel, and it is my privilege to be with you this afternoon. I know it's a little bit of still eating lunch and some other things going on. I am going to give you a warning now. We are going to do a little participatory things. So this will be something where you can actually, hopefully, leave today a little better than whence you came. So, a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Tim Herbel. I was born in the best named town in the planet. Anybody? I'm a proud graduate of Hooker High. We drove around in the Hooker activity bus. We went to Hooker schools, even Hooker church. We shopped at Hooker Hardware. Think about that one a while. You know, it's a great way to start a speech, right? Get their attention. Proud graduate of Hooker High. Now, some of you are a little older than others, right? Samuel represents the youngins in the room. But some of you have been around a while. Even the senior citizens of Hooker get in on the action. So the knitting club are the happy hookers. You know, it's a lot of fun being from Hooker, Oklahoma. Well, I am here to talk to you about how to give an elevator speech or that 3-minute pitch or that encapsulated piece of information that will help you get a deal, make a connection, or earn some money. Before I get there, let me ask you this question. What is the average American's greatest fear? Rejection, snakes, yeah, I've heard that one. Speaking. So guys, more than the fear of nuclear warfare or economic collapse, most Americans' greatest fear is getting up in front of a crowd and speaking, or even being put on the spot in that elevator when you have 30 seconds to convey who you are, what you do, and why you do it. Well, why am I the person up here speaking? Well, I've been a professional speaker for over 30 years. I taught public speaking at Oklahoma City University. Any stars in the house? So, at Oklahoma City University there. And then I have a night job besides being the executive director of Not Your Average Joe, which burns off stress. Now, some of you that are entrepreneurial, right, your mind is always going, and so it's really, really important that you do things like Roger does, like fishing, you know, to get away. For me, that's not active enough. I would have to do rock climbing or something, you know, where that if I wasn't in the moment, I would die, right, if I'm going to get my mind to stop. The other thing is being put on a microphone because you have to be focused. And so my night job is as an NCAA arena announcer. And so it's a lot of fun, right, because you can say things like, now, introducing, but you know, you got to be careful of who you're introducing, but pronunciation's important, staying in the game is important, being focused is important, and although those things are important for speaking, they're not important for speaking in an elevator. So, I'm going to give you the tools today so that you can tell who you are, what you do, and why you do it in a short amount of time on an elevator. Is that going to be helpful to you? Okay? Is that going to be helpful for you to get a deal? I hope so. I hope so. But before I share my tricks of the trade, I'm going to ask you to each talk to each other. So you have 2 minutes at your table, okay? You get to share who you are, what you do, and why you do it. You get about 30 seconds apiece. On your marks, get set, go. All right, so you guys had your opportunity, so let's talk collectively. We're one big classroom right now, but we're trying to end by giving us some practical things that we can take home with us. So at this table, what were some of the things that each of you did that were important in terms of speaking to one another? What is it?
What do you call it? Getting straight to the point, just being like launching right into your who you are, what you do, why you do it.
So get to the point. Yeah. Get to the point.
Same as her, getting to the point and making sure it's under 30 seconds.
Okay, get to the point. Keep it brief. Anything else from this going on? Yes? Nope. She's amen to what they said. How about this table? What did you guys do?
Eye contact.
So does eye contact make a difference? Absolutely. It does. And guys, watch this. Everybody over here, some of you are still talking. I taught 8th grade before, so don't make me use my teacher voice. So personal touch works as well. That human contact sometimes is overlooked. And so it means a lot. So eye contact, getting straight to the point, personal touch. What else? Yes. He wants the microphone.
It's a familiar formula, but it also gives you lets you know what your life purpose is.
So by getting to the why, you know your life purpose, right? And so you can talk a little bit about, okay, here's who I am, here's what I do, and here's why it's important. Is energy a factor in this? Yes. It is. Hi, my name is Tim. If I don't smile, doesn't matter, right? We have to be congruent with our nonverbal body language, right? We have to be congruent in all those other nonverbal cues, like our energy level. Okay. Hey Sam, do you have a new job? Hey, you want to tell everybody what your new job is?
My new job is working with Tim, doing whatever he decides he wants me to do.
There you go. All right. So why is that though? Well, why is that? Because when he introduced himself to me the first time in our coffee shop, I'm like, I'm going to hire him. Why? Because he had, say it with me, energy, right? And you can't teach that. You can't teach that, all right? Now, I can remind you of it, all right? But here's the deal. If you're not passionate about what you do, then change your job, okay? Because if you're not passionate about what you do, I'm not going to buy from you. Is that fair? You've got to be passionate about what you do. You've got to look me in the eye, James. You got to tell me, I love helping people. I want to help them be creative. I want these things to come to play. Well, you've met Andy, and she's kind of passionate about what she does, and so we've talked about being branded. You want to use action words, but one of the things that people don't spend enough time with in their business is their value proposition. How many of you have studied value propositions? I'm just curious. Okay, literally about 3 of you. So here's your homework assignment. Go home, Google value proposition. I don't care who you read. Read widely, though. Read 2 or 3 sources, okay? And understand what a value proposition is and why it's important. Every major business in America and across the planet, okay, has a value proposition. It's what they do, it's why they do it, and it's why it's valuable to the consumer, right? You may think you are the most wonderful person in the world, and you may think you're the most gifted person in real estate or whatever other venture you are part of. But reality is you may not be. Or the reality is you may be, but you may not convey it, right? And so all those things have to align together if you only have 30 seconds in that elevator. Well, look people in the eye. Be confident. Know your value proposition. Use some action words. One of the other things that you can do is leave something behind. Well, obviously that can be a business card, but it can be something more. It can be a visual impression. I'm going to invite someone on the stage for a minute. And here's why. Is because you're going to be visually impressed, and we're going to leave something behind. Danielle, come on up here. Everybody, welcome to the stage, Danielle Robinson. She's a little bit slow, but you know. Now, just so you guys know, Danielle's this tall, she's this sassy, and this bossy. Is that true?
Bossy.
Bossy. Danielle, did you win an award today, or your sister and you?
Yes.
Yes. What was that for?
For an interview.
For an interview. You guys were awarded being an advocate for those with special needs, weren't you? Now, do you want to tell them who your big sister is and what position she held last year?
Yes. So, if you guys know that Ashley was the one and only Miss Oklahoma.
Miss Oklahoma. Miss Oklahoma was just in the house dropping Danielle off. Now, in case you don't know, Danielle says that she and her big sister Ashley are twins, and they usually flip the hair.
Definitely the hair.
It's the hair. It's the hair. They look alike because of the hair. Now, if you guys haven't noticed, all right, Danielle looks a little different than you do. Why is that? What were you born with?
Down syndrome.
You were born with Down syndrome. Sometimes people exclude people with special needs because they're different and they don't know what to say. And so rather than not say anything, they walk away, right? Or to say the wrong thing, they just ignore them. Well, you may know this, but you may not. Do you know that your company earns more if it practices the inclusion of people of all abilities? Did you know that? It's like seriously. Doesn't matter the size of your business, small business, okay, big business. If you employ those with special needs, your company earns more. You have less turnover. You have a happier workforce, right? Your customers are more satisfied. Those are real things that affect the bottom line. Anybody in here interested in fattening their bottom line, right? So did you know including people of all abilities makes the bottom line fatter? You should applaud about now. Did you know that when you practice inclusion, you earn more and you learn more? Did you know that learning is better, whether in a school environment or an adult environment, when you include those with special needs? Why is that? Well, because sometimes you take more time to teach what you've learned, and so you've reinforced it. Does that make sense? Make sense? Danielle, how long have you worked at Not Your Average Joe?
3 years.
Applause again. To be precise, it's 3.5 years. Danielle was our first adult with special needs that we employed, okay? So, all right. I'm going to have you go sit with Andy for a minute. All right, one more round of applause for Danielle Robinson, my partner in crime. All right, no tripping. All right. So Roger made allusion to the fact that last night I had a few minutes to pitch Not Your Average Joe as a 501c3 nonprofit to a venture accelerator to people from all across Oklahoma as well across the United States. People flew in from New York last night to be at the 21C Hotel to hear what all of these groups, some for-profit, some not-for-profit, had to say. I got to finish. I got to bring it home. And so what I want to do is show you the presentation, but I don't so much want to give you that speech, okay? Because I promise you guys, I can wow you. I can make you reach deep into your pockets, and you should, okay? You should. But I want us to break it apart and talk about why I orchestrated this the way I did. Because here's the reality for me, okay? And it's the same for you. You never know who you're going to meet and when, right? So Andy walked into a coffee shop and happened to meet the executive director. Okay? If it hadn't been for the pitch that she was giving about what she wanted to do with her life, I wouldn't have hired her. But I did hire her on the spot, right? Just like I hired him on the spot, okay? That's going to happen. So, for example, when you're in the elevator or you're in the coffee shop and you don't know that you're talking to the producer or the director of the Stallone set and they fall in love with your mission because of the way you gave your elevator pitch and they hire you to come out, right? 3 times. You only do that once unless you're good, right? Okay? You never know who you're going to be in front of. And so sometimes you have the opportunity. Well, when you are giving your elevator pitch, sometimes you're going to have the opportunity to have slides, right? Okay? You're going to have a few more than 30 seconds. Obviously, your logo matters. Okay, your brand. Guys, if you don't know it, last night I was introduced as Tim Herbel, the executive director of Not Your Average Joe, a man of many hats. Because my brother back here wears hats like I do. So today I have a cabbie. Usually I have a fedora. It was a little cold for the fedora. But it's my brand. It's me. How you dress is your brand if you are your brand. Is that fair? Okay? Some of you know Toby Petford in the room. He's usually the best dressed guy in the house. All right, I'm trying. I'm going to turn it on again, off again, and boom, boom, boom. There we go. So when you are making your elevator pitch, okay, sometimes you want to use an emotional prompt, all right? This is a picture of my nephew, Braxton, okay? He is good looking, takes after his uncle, all right? So Braxton was born with cerebral palsy and hydrocephalus. So last night, when I was up in front of these folks, I talked about the fact that Braxton was excluded his whole life. He was pushed into a corner in the classroom. He was shunned by society when they were out in public. He was even asked not to come back to church because of his disabilities. Say it again. Boo. Now, then I say, hey, it wouldn't have gotten any better. James advanced me. I don't know what's going on here. So, wouldn't have gotten any better if Braxton had lived past age 11, because 80+% of adults with special needs are unemployed after high school, right? You say boo again. Okay? So that's why we created Not Your Average Joe, okay? Now, before I tell you about this slide, what did we just do? We created an emotion, right? So when you're giving your pitch, okay, you want to make the person you're talking to the hero, and one of the big problems that you have, I'm talking to you, is you think you're the hero. You think this thing's about you and how good your business is. But unless you make your consumer, the person you're talking to, feel like the hero, you will not grow your business to the level that you could, or even the level that you should, which is a stewardship issue, which that's between you and others, okay? But reality is you want them to feel like a hero for joining your cause, even if your cause is a for-profit business. Hey, your life can be better, will be better, should be better when you participate with me, right? Okay? There's all sorts of reasons for that. But we just created emotion, okay? We did it through pictures, we did it through words, we did it through statistics. Do you see how we use those? Okay? And then we say, so that's why we created Not Your Average Joe. Some of you had the privilege of meeting John here. John was legally blind, legally deaf, but he was in charge of 3 parts of our company. Okay? He was in charge of logistics, he was in charge of our kitchen, he was in charge of programming our point of sale. Okay? For a guy that was legally blind and legally deaf, that's pretty impressive, isn't it? Okay? And you remember those statistics I said, right? Okay? About how capable these folks are, and we learn more, we earn more. So that's why we created our own word, to be exceptional, right? To include people of all abilities, all right? And we talked about that a little bit. Go ahead and hit me. So Not Your Average Joe does 3 things. Okay? Your company may do 3 things, right? You may do 1 thing. You may do 6, okay? But you got to keep it simple, okay? So everybody make a triangle. Okay? Not Your Average Joe does 3 things. Number 1, we provide employment for adults with special needs. You already know 80% of them are unemployed after high school, which means they're at home sitting on the couch, eating Doritos, watching Netflix, getting fat. They're also alone, depressed, despondent, all bad things, okay? So we provide as well as employment, social engagement. Where do you make your friends? At work. So they have the opportunity to make their friends at work. And when Not Your Average Joe wins, okay, is not at the shop. It's when the employees, not because the boss told them to, go to Williams' football game over there. And they put his face on their T-shirts that they paid money to print. And you don't hear about it through work. You see it on their social media site. That's called winning, right? It's called winning. Then we provide education. Some of that education is on how you should take care of your body. Most adults with special needs don't move enough. They don't stretch enough. They don't exercise enough. And so we go to a gym on the northeast side of town to Intentional Fitness. You guys should check it out. Emmanuel is an amazing human. So we do 3 things, right? Okay. So when you're giving your pitch, what do? Keep it simple. Make it memorable, right? I do this, this, and this, okay? Why do I do it? Okay? Blah, 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 blah. But you also have to build a little credibility, right? I got up here. I'm a stranger to you. You don't know who I am. I'm a guy that sells coffee, right? Why is he on stage talking to us about an elevator pitch? You know? What credibility does he have? Well, hey, I taught at Oklahoma City University, right? I'm an NCAA arena announcer. I've been publicly speaking for 30 years, okay? Now, when I'm talking about this industry, mine, okay? Hey, we opened in January 1st of 2019. We grew 42% in 14 months. Now, for those of you keeping score, is that a pretty good? Pretty good? Not too shabby. Not too shabby, right? Next slide. We opened 4 stores in 2021. I can't hear you. On the campus of the University of Oklahoma. I say boomer, you say... All right, next slide there. We opened in Northwest Oklahoma City. We opened in Northeast Oklahoma City, and now we're in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Next slide, coming soon in just a few weeks at the base of the Devon Tower and the Ron Norick Downtown Library. Not Your Average Joe, location number 6, putting us over 50 adults with special needs employed in side-by-side inclusionary employment. Not Your Average Joe has a lot of momentum right now. In fact, we have so much momentum, Edmond Santa Fe High School has chosen us for their annual philanthropy coming this fall to Edmond, Oklahoma. Not Your Average Joe. Also, Norman on the south side of the metro has chosen us for their annual philanthropy. In the middle, Moore wants to put a shop in each of their 6A high schools for their students to work at. Did I mention the mayor of Oklahoma City 2 weeks ago named Not Your Average Joe, the 2022 Employer of the Year at the City Council meeting for our work with special needs adults? You can go to the next slide. We've won a few grants. We won the Impact Oklahoma grant. Every lady in here should be a part of Impact Oklahoma. They jointly put their money in a pool, and they give it away to nonprofits that can make the most impact with $100,000. We asked them, hey, if you gave us that money, can you imagine what would happen if we took the story of inclusion on the road to schools, churches, businesses, organizations, events, and we take that story out? And so we have a little photo bus now. She's awfully pretty, guys, the 1973 VW. I call her Betsy. We're going to have a competition to formally name her, but she's pretty cool. And she can come to your business or your school or your neighborhood next. James, next slide. So every single day, Not Your Average Joe was asked to hire somebody's niece, neighbor, nephew, or kid. And do you know what the reality is? I'm out of jobs. I don't have enough space. So what do I do? Every single week we're asked, hey, would you open in Stillwater? Would you open in Ardmore? Would you please come to Estes Park, Albuquerque, Omaha? Would you come to Dallas? Would you come to San Diego? And we say, sure, it's only going to take 25 committed families, 25 organizations, businesses, churches, groups to say, we got your back, and we have to come up with at least $250,000. But, you know, I dream bigger than that because I'm an entrepreneur too, even though I run a nonprofit, okay? Can I dream big too? Yeah? So what if it took a village? Oh, it does, doesn't it? Village idiot position is taken. You can't have it. It's mine. It's all mine. So, but what if we as a village come together and said, hey, what if we gathered $10 million and took Not Your Average Joe, not just to Edmond, but to the United States? And what if we lowered that 80% unemployment rate, not just in Oklahoma, but across this great country? 20 plus stores, we could get experts in every field that we need, whether it's in the food industry, the special ed industry, go ahead. And so that's what we do. But when you make that elevator pitch, you have to make an ask. Don't just give them something, ask them of something. Hey, I want to take you to coffee. When can we meet? 2 or 4. Don't ever ask a question that has no as an answer. If you do, you're a bad salesperson. Get a new job. Okay? Never ask a question unless you know the answer on both sides. So how can you make an impact? Everybody in this room needs to get out their phone right now and follow Not Your Average Joe on social media. On Instagram, it's nyaj.coffee. That's also our website address. You can follow us at Not Your Average Joe on Facebook. Be careful, there's a bar by that name in New York. That's not us. However, last night, Not Your Average Joe was invited to Harlem. Applause. You can become a regular customer and donor. We pay our own bills at our flagship stores, but it takes extra money to hire that special ed person, okay? It takes a little bit of extra money. It takes extra money to open new stores, okay? We don't feed somebody's 401k, even a 403b here. Money doesn't motivate me, which is much to the chagrin of my wife who loves shoes, okay? But you can become a regular customer. You can become a regular donor. You can also be a corporate sponsor. Your name could be given to every person at that school that we show up to or that library to show up to with that photo booth. We can serve homemade ice cream, and it could be courtesy of Outside the Box, right? It could be courtesy of your company. Launch a new store. You know it only takes $250,000. Some of you have that. Maybe you're a Stillwater graduate, and you don't want OU to have all the fun. Well, make it happen. Make it happen. You could help us launch a certificate program for adults with special needs. It's a commuter program. OU, OSU, and Tahlequah Northeastern all have a residential program for adults with special needs. They don't get a diploma, but they get a certificate. But it's expensive. There's a waiting list, and not every kid with special needs has the independence to do that. But what if they could commute to downtown Oklahoma City, to Not Your Average Joe, and to the library, and we've already got a college agreed to do it if we can raise $100,000. They'll bring the professors, we'll be the lab. Well, you can help spread Not Your Average Joe across America. Final slide, okay? The final slide here has a picture, right? Back to my emotional appeal, okay? When I sum up what I'm doing, I'm going to show you a picture. I'm going to remind you what our value proposition is, and that is you're going to get exceptional coffee because we have those 4 SCA Master Certified Roasters, right? But it's served by even better people. So when you drink good coffee, you can change the world. You can't do that at Charbucks. I'm going to get a little closer to home. You can't do that at Stella Nova. But reality is, you can do it at Not Your Average Joe. And here's my belief. You're not your average Joe. Make the people in the elevator believe it. Any questions, comments, deep thoughts, rude remarks? We have 1 minute. 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Every family is completely different, but we're trying to change the legislation in the state of Oklahoma and across the country to address that question about how much can a special needs individual make. Danielle and every one of our employees are paid minimum plus tips or more, and so we don't believe in wage studies. Any other questions? We are total employees about 80, 44 of those have special needs. Once the library opens, we'll be over 50 and over 100 total employees. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, back to your regularly scheduled program.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I can't do the voice like you, though, Tim. You're fantastic. Thank you.